And this is all too fucking common to me. Fucking jokes, fucking pop culture, for fuck's sake. Why the fuck? Why the fuck? You're a fucking idiot. Don't give a fuck. You're fucking logic, fucking lazy. Fucking stupid, fucking clowns.
For God's sake, Harry, what is with this language? You're a fucking...
Okay, this is a direct video response to a video made by a YouTuber called GoFemYourself called Listen and Believe What It Really Means. It addresses the live stream from Tim, Demotivatoropinion, and Morally Grey that happened a few days ago about rape culture. It was about a lot of things, but namely about rape culture. And I watched it too. I really enjoyed it. It left me with a lot of respect for the pair of them on how they disagreed with each other. And for what it's worth, it gave me a huge amount of respect for both of them as individuals, especially Tim, of, being a pretty big Bearing fan myself. Obviously didn't have the best impression of him before, but no, I thought it was a pretty good discussion. So let's have a look at the thoughts of GoFemYourself on the topic and see if we can unpack some of her ideas.
I'll address things Grace said. This is not a response to Grace specifically, but rather my thoughts on that very reductive and narrow-minded way of thinking. If there is one thing I'm really tired and sick of online, especially since having a channel, and this is all too fucking common to me, is people claim to be neutral, objective, rational, logical, skeptics. And if you are so logical and rational, why do you need to claim this shit every 10 minutes? Why do you need to write that in your YouTube profile? I know issues like sexism, rape, and racism are grim, and these things suck, but ignoring them, or you not being affected by those things, doesn't mean that they don't exist. They don't exist perhaps to you in your mind because you're not affected by it, or because you choose to not see it.
Right, well, you're absolutely right. Sexism, rape, and racism are absolutely awful, but no one is saying these things don't exist. That's ridiculous. They never said that in the chat, did they?
Tell a rape victim whose rapist had very little or no punishment even after being found guilty that there is no rape culture. Because when we have a legal system in place that is supposed to protect its citizen by punishing those who commit crimes, but when that law system fails because the people who work in that system are influenced and gender biased or are prone to have sympathy with an accuser, and this type of stuff is happening all over, this is what we deem to be a culture. It's a system of beliefs that overpowers even the law system and objectivity. And we call it a culture because it is repeated behavior.
No, see, that's where we first disagree. Rape exists and it is terrible, but it's not a culture. Not in my opinion. Now, the definition of culture you've used isn't a definition of culture. I'm currently studying a pretty interesting module on culture at my university. This is a slide from one of our first lectures listing some ideas about how to define culture. Rape isn't the ideal, is it? We don't strive for more rape, do we? It isn't considered ordinary, and it doesn't express the meanings or values of our society. It's a very complex crime that is a very difficult issue to deal with. This is where you're mistaken. Just because something is repeated behaviour doesn't mean it's a culture. Here's a list of victim-based crimes I found for the Office of National Statistics in the UK. The number of rapes that were recorded between October 2015 and September 2016 were 37,813. But the number of burglaries were 402,048. Are you saying there's a burglary culture? So no, it's not what we mean by culture, it's what you mean by culture, which isn't objectivity either, is it?
We're seeing judges being suspended in the last year for having told victims of rape to keep their knees together. Police officers who discourage people come forward with claims of having been sexually assaulted. Police discourage them from making complaints. Some victims have been laughed at. And some rape victims, believe it or not, have been raped by police officers.
Well, those could be very serious issues, but I do think we do need a bit of context to those. Besides the last one, that's a bit fucked up.
Is it 100% present everywhere all the time? No, and no one claims it is. Does it taint a little bit of everything and sometimes a whole lot? Is it impossible to avoid? Absolutely.
If you do see this video and decide to respond, however you decide to respond, could you explain exactly what you mean by that? Does it taint everything?
In the chat, you guys talked about prison. Is there a rape culture in prison? Definitely.
Right, I'm just going to cut ahead a second to this part.
You fucking guys who talk about women getting raped, you're just guys talking yet again about women's issues.
So hold on. As men, we have no place to discuss aspects and issues concerning women. Have you been in prison? Under your logic then, surely you have no clue whether there really is a rape culture in prison or whether it's just a stereotype, a myth.
Now, Tim in the chat also mentioned that rape culture was prevalent in college, on college grounds. Gray disagreed with this. Tell me, if there is no culture of rape and gender discrimination on college and university campuses, why the fuck does Title IX exist, eh?
I'm sorry, GoFemYourself, but that's a bit of a shit argument. We aren't disputing that sexual harassment and rape are not problems on university grounds. They do happen, and we want to stop that, hence Title IX. Doesn't mean there's a culture, though. Murder is a problem, murder is illegal, murder isn't a culture. To say that with such a smug, smarmy attitude as well.
Let me add to that, the army. The army is sort of special. There are some people in the army who rape their fellow soldiers and rape people abroad when they are sent on duty.
Yeah, but Tim and Morally Gray's discussion was about campus rape culture specifically. How is army rape relevant to that specific discussion?
If you think this isn't rape culture, you're a fucking idiot.
If you don't agree with me when I'm wrong, you're a fucking idiot. Very civil and intelligent that is, isn't it?
The police force is another one. Like the army, not only are a lot of cops likely to sexually harass or rape fellow colleagues, but they also do it to people they're supposed to be helping. Daniel Holtclaw is one of the very few who was convicted, and it took the testimony of 13 women to convict him. How many women did that guy rape while being on duty?
No one is saying these aren't disgusting, disgraceful problems, but they aren't rape culture. They aren't normal, they aren't accepted, they aren't celebrated, they don't make up a part of what it is to be a resident in the Western world. Maybe it's subjective, but for me that does not describe a culture. It describes a problem.
I could go on and on about this shit. If you don't know about this, or if you choose to look away, the conclusion is not that there is no rape culture. The conclusion is that you're either uninformed, ignorant, gender biased, or you simply don't give a fuck about rape victims. Maybe all of the above.
Oh my god, what a disgusting thing to say. Whether you label the problem of rape as a culture or not doesn't even really matter. I'm telling you it's not a culture because, for all the reasons I've given you, I don't believe that it is. For you to then suggest that based on a technicality that I, or anyone that shares my opinion, are ignorant, gender biased, and don't give a fuck about rape victims because we don't agree with you is fucking awful and frankly ridiculous. Stupid comments like that are the exact reason more and more people are coming to fucking despise feminism.
It's easy to disregard something when your head is in the sand. Now I know skeptics and logical people base their fuckeries on what they think is evidence. And part of what they think is evidence apparently includes what rape victims wear. So let's ask that question. What were these people wearing? Well, the women in Val-d'Or, Quebec, they were probably wearing snowsuits most of the time. If not snowsuits, I think at least a thick pair of jeans, long johns, and a thick coat. I hear it's pretty cold up there. And what about the army people? What were they wearing, eh?
Fucking hell, they were talking about campus rape culture, and they did it in a very respectful and worthwhile way. They agreed on stuff, and respectfully disagreed on stuff. And now here you come with a completely different scenario, opening a completely new discussion in such a disrespectful way. Tell me, what is your aim on YouTube? What is your aim in having discussions? Is it to actually make these discussions worthwhile? To come to agreements and understandings? Or is it just to act like a stroppy child and throw mindless insults at them?
I would say probably their army suit. Do you think army suit makes someone look like an easy target? I'm sure when Gray victim blamed women for wearing skimpy clothes, as he said it, that he wasn't thinking about men who are victims of rape.
At the end of your video, right, you complain about how skeptics strawman their arguments. Well, what are you doing right now? You're taking comments made about campus rape culture and then saying, right, yeah, but if you take this completely unrelated area where rape can happen, your argument falls down there, doesn't it? That makes you a moron. But obviously the argument doesn't apply to a completely different setting. It's hardly a statement to be smug about.
Do you see your fucking logic, how you fucking lack it? Oh, but wait, you were talking about one kind of rape, right? The stereotype of the college girl dressed sexy and who's drunk? But that's the very problem with your thinking. It's narrow-minded and it's fucking lazy.
Actually, it's being relevant to the topic at hand and not going off on unrelated tangents. How dare you just discuss one area of a topic? You don't give a fuck about the victims. The only narrow-minded person I'm seeing here, GoFemYourself, is you. You've moved the goalpost, changed the topic of the discussion to a significantly broader spectrum, and then complain that the original opinion is too narrow. Not only this, but you're not even trying to broaden the discussion. If you had said, okay, so we disagree about this one small area of the topic, what if we now look at the broader issues such as XYZ? That would have been an interesting and educational dialogue for everyone to have. But nah, you just strawman a bunch of arguments, move the goalpost, and then say anyone who disagrees with you don't care about rape victims. What a nasty thing to do. Not only that, but you then later go on to moan about strawmen. Talk about hypocrisy 101.
You're focused on only one part of the problem and one very slim part. And what's ironic here is that out of all the people who are victims of rape and sexual assault, you wouldn't blame any of them except the ones who don't follow your moral code of conduct. This is virtue signaling. The only victims of rape you choose to talk about are the ones you can blame for it. You don't give a shit about the victims of rape. You just want to fucking point the finger at people you deem not virtuous. If you really looked at this issue, you would realize that what you call skimpy outfits and drinking are not components that lead to rape. You got it backwards. It's the other way around. Your skimpy outfits and drinking are one of the reasons why rape is dismissed.
Okay. It would be awful if justice wasn't served to a rape victim where it was due. Obviously it would. But would it not also be awful for someone to be falsely accused? Are we being skeptical of all rape victims? Are we being victim blamers? Or are we just making sure appropriate evidence is there to convict someone? Do you or do you not agree that having a man or whoever go down for a false rape charge is terrible?
Even when it's not about clothes, you people always find other reasons. You say women should recognize a situation where rape might occur. To me, that's like saying women should stay home. Is being out when it's dark a situation where rape might occur? Because some people would say so.
Yes, it being dark is a more likely situation where rape might occur. You're also more likely to get robbed, beaten up, stabbed, kidnapped, burgled, all when it's dark. Stop gendering the issue. Everyone should be careful after hours. What's the big deal in highlighting that?
You do know rapists hide their intentions of raping until they actually fucking do it, right? You must think women are really fucking stupid and oblivious. Do you think women are not being told to be careful about how they dress all the fucking time? Dude, I've been told more times in my life that I shouldn't be out after dark than you'll ever know. Why? Because this is shit that are being told to girls, not to men. I've been taught at the age of 8 or 9 how to hold keys in between my fingers so I could protect myself if I need to hit someone in the face, a man that would want to fucking rape me when I walk home from school. Women are being told this and taught this about how men may want to rape them.
Yes, and men may want to rape you. It doesn't mean it's right, it doesn't mean it's accepted, and it doesn't mean it should happen by any stretch of the imagination. But surely it's better to have that advice than not. How does informing and reminding women of the potential dangers of the real world mean we aren't tackling the rapists themselves?
I hope you get by now how fucking stupid you sound when you talk about people who make themselves look like easy targets. Because listening to you guys, you would include about just anything in that category. You victim blamers. You're fucking clowns who have never dealt with abuse or threat of this kind in your life.
You know, someone in your comments described this video as an impassioned defense. I call it being straight up fucking rude and oblivious to the real argument.
You know what? I shouldn't fucking say it, but I'll say it.
No, Fem, please, I'm not ready.
You fucking guys who talk about women getting raped, you're just guys talking yet again about women's issues. You know what? Your fucking obsession with college girls, how they get drunk and how they get raped, how the fact that these are the only rape victims that you talk about are these college girls, it's creepy as fuck.
Well, if you want to broaden the discussion, reach out to us and broaden the discussion. You don't have to be a dick about it.
It's fucking weird. Okay? You guys, you have no fucking clue. You don't know what it's like to be a woman. You want an example of an echo chamber? This is the perfect example of an echo chamber. You guys on YouTube who go on streams together and talk about women's issues.
Want another example of an echo chamber? A woman openly saying that men shouldn't discuss what she considers to be a women's issue because they are men.
You don't even include women in your discussions. And you want me to believe you're being objective and neutral? Go fuck yourself. You don't care about women. You don't care about people or their rights. You don't challenge yourself or challenge your thinking. You don't want to be challenged. You just want to hang with your buddies and talk shit yet again about women.
Alright, GoFemYourself. I invite you to a discussion on rape culture. If that's something you'd be interested in, let me know. If not, who wants the echo chamber here out of us two? And I think that's a good place to stop. I'm aware there's another 15 minutes of swearing I could listen to, but we can discuss those when we chat, if that's something you are willing to do. A civilised discussion comparing our ideas about rape culture. Put your money where your mouth is, eh? Until then, genuinely, take care of yourself, and I'll hopefully hear from you soon.